Education funding is the process of securing financial resources needed to meet future educational expenses while balancing other financial priorities. Effective education funding requires a comprehensive assessment of anticipated costs, available resources, funding gaps, and appropriate financing strategies. Educational expenses extend beyond tuition and may include fees, books, technology, housing, transportation, and personal living costs. Because these costs continue to rise over time, families often need long-term funding plans that combine savings, investments, financial aid, and tax-efficient strategies. Financial planners help clients evaluate available alternatives and develop realistic funding approaches that support educational goals without jeopardizing retirement security, emergency reserves, or other important financial objectives. A successful education funding strategy begins with estimating future costs and determining the amount that must be accumulated before enrollment. Planners project expenses using assumptions regarding tuition inflation, expected investment returns, and the timing of educational needs. Once projected costs are established, available resources such as current savings, family contributions, scholarships, grants, and employer assistance programs are evaluated. Any remaining shortfall becomes the funding gap that must be addressed through additional savings or financing. By identifying this gap early, families gain sufficient time to implement disciplined savings programs and adjust financial priorities as needed. Early planning significantly improves the likelihood of successfully funding educational objectives. Savings represent the primary source of education funding for many families. Regular contributions to dedicated education accounts allow assets to grow over time through investment earnings and compounding. Tax-advantaged vehicles such as 529 plans and Coverdell education savings accounts are frequently used because they provide favorable tax treatment for qualified educational expenses. The earlier savings begin, the greater the opportunity for investment growth and the less reliance on future borrowing. Financial planners often recommend systematic contribution programs that align with household cash flow and long-term goals. Consistent saving not only reduces financial stress but also provides greater flexibility when educational expenses ultimately arise. Financial aid plays an important role in education funding and may significantly reduce the amount families must pay out of pocket. Financial aid generally falls into two categories: need-based aid and merit-based aid. Need-based aid considers family income, assets, and financial circumstances, while merit-based aid is awarded based on academic achievement, athletic performance, leadership, or other accomplishments. Aid may be provided in the form of grants, scholarships, work-study opportunities, or subsidized loans. Financial planners help clients understand financial aid eligibility factors and the potential impact of asset ownership, income levels, and account structures on aid calculations. Strategic planning can improve funding efficiency while preserving educational opportunities. Loans are another common source of education funding and may be necessary when savings and financial aid are insufficient. Federal student loans often provide favorable borrowing terms, including lower interest rates, flexible repayment options, and potential borrower protections. Private student loans may supplement federal programs but typically involve less favorable conditions. Parents may also utilize education-related borrowing options when appropriate. Financial planners carefully evaluate the long-term consequences of debt-financed education because excessive borrowing can create financial burdens that persist long after graduation. Effective funding strategies seek to minimize unnecessary debt while ensuring that educational objectives remain attainable and financially sustainable. Gift tax strategies are closely linked to education funding because family members often contribute assets to support educational goals. Gift tax rules allow individuals to transfer wealth to others during their lifetime while potentially reducing future estate tax exposure. Annual exclusion gifts permit transfers up to specified limits without triggering gift tax consequences. Parents, grandparents, and other relatives frequently use these provisions to fund education savings accounts or make direct contributions for beneficiaries. Strategic gifting allows assets to grow outside the donor's taxable estate while providing valuable support for future educational needs. Proper implementation requires careful coordination with overall financial, retirement, and estate planning objectives. Income tax strategies further enhance education funding by maximizing tax efficiency and preserving investment growth. Tax-advantaged education savings accounts allow earnings to accumulate with reduced or deferred taxation, increasing the amount available for future expenses. Certain education-related tax credits and deductions may also reduce current tax liabilities for eligible taxpayers. Financial planners evaluate these opportunities in conjunction with a client's overall tax situation to optimize outcomes. Effective income tax planning involves coordinating savings vehicles, withdrawal strategies, and educational expenditures to minimize taxes while maintaining compliance with applicable regulations. Tax-efficient planning can significantly improve the affordability of education over the long term. Education funding and gift/income tax strategies work together to create a comprehensive framework for meeting educational objectives while managing broader financial goals. Successful planning requires balancing savings, investments, financial aid, borrowing decisions, tax considerations, and family wealth transfer objectives. Financial planners regularly review education funding plans to accommodate changes in investment performance, educational costs, tax laws, and family circumstances. By integrating education planning with retirement, estate, and tax planning strategies, clients can pursue educational goals more effectively and efficiently. A disciplined, coordinated approach helps families reduce financial stress, preserve long-term financial security, and provide meaningful educational opportunities for future generations.